reads on this wise. Now a certain woman had a flow of blood for 12 years, and had suffered many things from many physicians.
Yes, sir.
She had spent all that she had and was no better, but rather grew worse. You may be seated.
Thank you, Lord.
In the presence of our Lord and our
Thank
Savior,
you, Lord.
Jesus Christ. I want to entitle this message, This is Too Much. This is too much.
Too much, too much.
There comes a moment in everyone's life when we reach a breaking point. A time when the weight of everything we've endured becomes too heavy to bear. And every time you turn around, there's bad news after bad news after bad news. It feels like if it isn't one thing, it's another. Every day it's a new crisis, a new tragedy, a new issue, leaving us feeling like we can never catch a break. And in the end, frustration, exhaustion, and disappointment all merge into one single thought: this is too much. When we look at the news or scroll through social media, we see Donald Trump, our 47th president, making controversial decisions and exercising power through executive orders while ignoring the needs of the people. And we shake our heads in disbelief and think, this is too much. On top of that, we're facing growing resistance to diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. Where instead of progress, we're seeing policies being rolled back and conversations about racial justice being silenced. Companies like Target and Amazon who have supported these initiatives are now facing boycotts from those who are pulling back from the cause. And it seems as though the work we've worked so hard for as African Americans is trying to be undone, and we can't help but to come overwhelmed and say, this is too much. Even within our community, the reality is that we're staggered by the rise in crime, endless gun violence, senseless shootings, and the tragic loss of young lives who have never had the chance to experience adulthood, pursue dreams, or even build a future. Moreover, drugs are flooding our streets. People are overdosing on laced substances, and once again, we find ourselves fed up to the point that we have no choice but to say, this is too much. College students are facing midterms, and deadlines are approaching faster than expected. The assignments are piling up. The expectations are rising. And no matter how hard they try, it never feels like enough. And now they long for the semester to end, all because this is too much. The cost of living continues to rise while pay rates remain the same. The price of eggs are higher than ever. Every trip to the store feels like a shock to the wallet, because what used to fill up your cart can now fit into one of your hands. What once filled up your entire trunk now fits inside of your front seat. And when we look at our receipts and our totals, we can't help but to say, this is too much. And there are countless moments where we can relate to life being too much. Because of this, it is made possible for us to connect and interact with this woman in Mark chapter 5. Because this woman had reached her breaking point. Because for 12 years she endured a long struggle, a constant burden that drained her, leaving her to be physically exhausted. For 12 years she suffered in silence. For 12 years she reached out for help and found none. For 12 years she fought to stay alive, but the battle seemed endless. For 12 years she was treated like an outcast, shunned by society. illness had drained her.
Yeah.
And her bank account was just as empty, leading her to think that this is too much. Though she was at her lowest
Yeah.
and feeling hopeless.
Yeah.
Even through all she went through, this woman wasn't helpless.
Yeah.
Because after hearing about Jesus, she pressed through the crowd with faith, touched the hem of his garment, and she was healed.
Glory.
And while what she went through seemed to be too much,
Yeah.
she shows us that when all else fails, don't you stop,
Yeah.
but keep going.
Yeah.
Press on,
Yeah.
press through,
Yeah.
and reach Jesus.
Yeah.
But we have to understand that in order for this woman to reach Jesus when life seemed to be too much,
Too much.
the first thing she had to do, number one, was acknowledge her problem.
Yeah.
She had to acknowledge her problem. Jesus has just returned from the region of the Gentiles and is now in Jewish territory. And as always, when Jesus made it back to his destination, a large crowd assembled around him.
Yeah.
And among this crowd that gathered around Jesus, there were three groups of people.
Yeah. Yeah.
You had the critics, those who only wanted to discredit Jesus and find ways to trap him. Then you had those who were curious, those individuals who only came into the crowd out of curiosity to be entertained by his miracles and to see if he was who he truly said he was.
Yeah.
But you also had the concern, those who were in need of healing, those who needed Jesus' intervention for themselves or someone else. But in this particular crowd, there's no mention of the critics. There's no mention of the curious.
Yeah.
But where we find ourselves, we see that the mentioning and the highlighting is on those who are considered the concern.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because desperate for healing. As the crowd pressed around Jesus,
Yeah.
a synagogue leader by the name of Jairus came to Jesus and pleaded with him to come and heal his daughter who was on hospice and could pass away at any moment.
Yeah.
And after this request, Jesus agreed. He went on a journey to Jairus' house to make a house call and a house visit. But on their way, an unknown woman appeared, putting his request on hold. Because this woman was another case that represented those individuals of concern.
Yeah.
Because this woman was facing a condition that rendered her ceremonially unclean according to the law in Leviticus chapter 15 verses 19 through 33. And though the exact nature of her illness is not clearly described, scholars know that it's different from a menstrual cycle. Because her constant bleeding is abnormal, making the situation much more worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
Until her condition is cured.
Yeah.
Her impurity is transmissible to others, requiring her to isolate from society.
Yeah.
Although the situation that this woman was in was embarrassing,
Yeah.
although her situation had placed her outside of the margins, she did not brush matters under the rug.
Yeah.
She did not pretend that it wasn't her reality. However, she recognized she had a problem.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes we criticize this woman.
Yeah.
But we need to commend her because the first step for her to even find deliverance and freedom, she had to see what she needed deliverance. I want you to understand, Sherman, that you can delay your deliverance
Yeah.
all because you're in denial.
Yeah.
Because when we deny our suffering,
Yeah.
When we act as though there's nothing wrong, all we do is prolong our suffering and we hinder any solution toward change and healing. It's as if we're trapped in a cycle where our problems persist, all because we won't allow ourselves to face it head on. How many people deal with depression? They suppress their emotions, try to hide their struggles, and they'll use the excuse, I'm okay. But by neglecting how they really feel, they prevent themselves from seeking counseling and getting the support that they need. How many parents ignore the red flag? You mean to tell me the teacher calling home every single day talking about your child acting up? Your child getting in trouble at school every day, getting suspended, getting put out of class, always at home with you and can't never learn nothing. And all you say is just a phase, he'll grow out of it. But now, little Ray is grown older, getting in trouble with the law, in and out of jail, and now you're even afraid to stand up to him because you did not intervene. When you have the change. How many relationships are beyond repair? Because people are too busy blaming other folk, pointing the finger at everybody else, but never have the audacity to look in the mirror and see where they went wrong. They fail to acknowledge their narcissistic behavior, and by the time they recognize the problem, it's too far gone to even fix it. Do you know some folk got some habits? I mean, you know, folks get on hooked on stuff these days. And you try to talk to them about it, they say, it's just my medicine. This help me cope. But then, they get so deep into it that when they finally realize that they are at it, it seems as though they can never break free from it. The point is, when you do not recognize your reality, you prevent change from happening in your situation. Some folks, they'll see a leak in the roof, see the water dripping, but they don't want to fix the problem until they're swimming in their living room. The point is, you have to acknowledge what you go through. This is too much. You have to acknowledge your problem. But when it's too much, you have to abandon your pursuits. Then you have to abandon your pursuits. After seeing multiple doctors in pursuit of a medical solution, none were able to provide this woman with effective treatment. Even worse, she emptied out all of her pockets. The money she had hidden in her secret pockets. And even the money that she had in the First Financial Bank of her bosom. She was so broke that Johnny Taylor wouldn't have been able to say that she had her last $2. One for the bus fare and one for the jukebox. And with no 401k, no Affordable Care Act, no Medicare or Medicaid, no Social Security, health benefits, this woman was completely wiped out. They're left with no alternative. Two options remained for this woman.
All right.
She could either give up and accept that her condition was beyond him, or this woman could have kept on looking for a solution. And as she was trying to decide how to move forward, news of Jesus reached her.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And in her desperation, she decided to give him
Yes, sir.
a try.
Yeah.
We have to know that after hearing of Jesus, she made up in her mind
Yeah.
that she would press
Yeah.
through the crowd
Yeah.
and touch
Him.
his clothes.
Yeah.
And I believe
His him.
the clothing of a holy man carries spiritual power.
Yeah.
And the part she aimed to touch was the tassel on his robe, which was a symbol of God's covenant with his people as commended in Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 12. And by this woman reaching for this tassel, she took a great risk that could have caused even more shame or even death, because she could have been stoned
Yeah.
for going against the law.
Yeah. Yeah.
But desperate for him,
Yeah.
she was willing to take a risk,
Yeah.
knowing that desperate times call for desperate.
Yeah.
We have to consider this. What better moment for this woman to make such a choice?
Yeah.
All right.
What better moment for her to hear about Jesus
Yeah.
when she ran
Yeah.
out of money?
Yeah.
Because if this woman would have ran out of money,
Yeah.
she would have kept going from doctor to doctor, and she would have never had the idea or made the decision
Yeah.
to reach Jesus.
Yeah.
Because we got to understand
Mm-hmm.
that while she did recognize her problem,
Yeah.
she still faced a delay in her deliverance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's why.
Mm-hmm.
She was delayed because it didn't take Jesus 12 years to find her.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
But it took her 12 years to find him. Because for all of that time, for those 12 long years, she looked for answers in all of the wrong places. And this is something we fail to consider.
Yeah.
Because it's a shame that sometimes I get on Facebook,
Sometimes.
somebody online
Yeah.
telling all their business, talking about everything they're going through,
Yeah.
and then other folk on the end of the phone getting a good laugh.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to help it, and as soon as you get online, they get on the phone talking about, child, don't you know that girl just got on Facebook talking about this, that?
Yeah.
We even go as far
Yeah.
to seek advice from people who got more problems than us. But if I'm in the ditch and you in the ditch, we can't pull each other out. If my car's broke down and your car's broke down, we can't jump each other off, and we're just two broke down folks and ain't going nowhere.
That's it.
Young folk,
That's it.
young folk we can't do it.
Yeah.
Want to call up that sneaky link,
Yeah.
and ain't nothing gonna ever become real.
Yeah.
They want to roll up, get high, pop some pills, eat some edibles, make every trip to the ABC store, which will provide temporary relief. But when they wake up the next morning, the same thing is going on. All because you're looking for answers in all of the wrong places. Wrong places.
Yeah.
Can I admit something to you?
Mm-hmm.
You're still facing the same struggle that you're facing,
Yeah. Yeah.
simply because you haven't run out.
Yeah.
All right. This may be hard for you to accept, but sometimes
Sometimes.
You have to run out to run over. Because those moments of emptiness or lack where you run out of options, you run out of ideas, you run out of control, you run out of people to rely on, you run out of habits to take part in, you run out of strength to keep going, can be the very opportunity for God to pour out His blessings, His grace, His favor, and His power in your life. Because when you're filled with all of that other stuff, you leave no room for God to work, because great things often happen when you feel like you've lost our enemy. Because miracles often happen when you run out. Let me say it again. Miracles happen when you run out. You don't have to take my word for it. The children of Israel were in the desert. In the desert without food. Had no access to what they had in Egypt. But when they ran out, God provided manna from heaven that sustained them every single day. There was a brook Cherith that dried up. Where Elijah was and the water had ran out. But when the water ran out, God sent Elijah to Zarephath, to a widow woman who said that they would eat and die. But Elijah said, fix mine first. And God worked it out. And they had enough food to last. Last week, there were a group of fishermen who went fishing all night long. They didn't catch a bass, a brim, a crappie, a catfish, or a sardine. But when Jesus showed up, He said, launch out into the deep. And they hauled in a miraculous catch. I got one more. There was a wedding one day in Cana of Galilee. I don't know what they were doing at the wedding. They probably would listen to ZZ Hill Down Home Blues, but some way, somehow, the wine ran. But God took that chemical component, H2O, and turned it into wine. And it was the best that the catch ever had. The point is, when you run out, you run into the limitless power. Oh, God. Sometimes you got to hit rock bottom to know that God is the rock at the bottom that can sustain you, support you, and strengthen you. This is too much.
Too much.
Acknowledge your problem. Abandon your pursuit. And when you do those things, you can accomplish your purpose. You can accomplish your purpose. Though the doctors had given up on this woman after she could no longer afford health care, this woman didn't give up on herself. All right. She decided to give Jesus a try. And against the rules, the odds, and the consequences, she was sick and tired of being sick and tired. And she did whatever was necessary in order to obtain the solution that she needed. And what she had been searching for all this time came instantly. She didn't need rehab. She didn't need ongoing treatment. She didn't need recovery time. But right when she touched the hem of His garment, she no longer was dealing with the issue. She was dealing with it. Shallow. This woman tried to sneak her healing. She said, well, I'm going to just touch him. And
Yeah.
now I'm healed.
Yeah.
Let me go on about my way.
Yeah.
But after she touched Jesus,
Yeah.
power
Yeah.
left him.
Yeah.
This is significant because this is the only time in the New Testament that this kind of language about Jesus is used.
Yeah.
It might seem like that when this woman touched Jesus, that he had lost power. But his power is unlimited.
Yeah.
And he can't lose something that he will forever and always have. So we have to understand that she did not take Jesus' power,
Yeah.
but she tapped into Jesus' power, gaining access to something that was life and significant.
Yeah.
But I can't stop there.
Yeah.
This woman was unclean.
Yeah.
Anything she touched
Yeah.
was unclean.
Yeah.
If you laid in her bed, you were unclean.
Yeah.
If you sat in a chair that she had just gotten out of, you were unclean.
Yeah.
If you touched her, if she touched you, you would be considered unclean, and yet she touched Jesus. Did this mean he was unclean? Did this mean that his holiness was compromised? Did this mean that he was defiled in some way? Let me give you my answer. It is no. And let me tell you why. Because when she touched Jesus, his holiness, his power, his healing, his grace was so strong that when she touched him, what was on her didn't get on him. But what was on him, got on her. But this woman touched Jesus. And Jesus felt it. And Jesus asked the question, who touched me? Disciples said to him, man, all these folk around you, it's packed like Saudi. Anybody could have touched you. And in their response, the disciples missed out on what Jesus was saying. This wasn't an ordinary touch. This wasn't a random touch. This woman didn't just brush up against me, but this was a touch that was fueled and inspired by faith. So this woman probably, I can imagine on pins and needles. She's probably tense because she's aware of the consequences and she knows that Jesus wants her to come forward and admit that she touched him. But instead of avoiding Jesus, this woman came forward and said, I did. And I can imagine her probably saying, well, Jesus, I've been dealing with this issue for 12 years. I went from doctor to doctor. But when I touched you, it made it better. Now, this woman has gone through enough shame, enough humiliation, and now she's the center of attention because Jesus called her to come forward. Jesus, you could let me been healed, act like you didn't know it, and let me go on. But that was not the outcome that he intended because there were two reasons why he had this woman to come forward. Remember, I said we're focusing on the crowd of concern. Remember, Jairus had just asked Jesus to come to his house to heal his daughter. But Jesus stopped to talk to this woman, and all the time Jairus might have put this on hold and let me throw some out here for free. Don't get upset when other folks get blessed before you. Yes. They ain't firm, but let me throw that out there. Because life serves us in batches.
Yeah.
And it may be your turn, but it may not be your time.
Yeah.
Just wait. Because even though it's delayed,
Yeah.
it's not denied. That's another song.
That's right.
J.R. is sitting there, feeling like Jesus is wasting time.
Yeah.
We have to understand that in hindsight,
Yeah.
J.R. did not understand that by giving this woman a chance to testify and speak on what all had took place,
Yeah.
he was giving him some hope to hold on to.
Yeah.
Because while J.R. was still stuck in the right now, God was in the not yet.
Yeah.
Because Jesus knew that his daughter would die before they even met, but rather than call change, rather than call Bright Faith Memorial or integrity, he wanted J.R. to understand that no matter how hopeless your situation is, if I did it for her, I can do it for you. And it probably never crossed your mind. But sometimes what you go through, it ain't just for you. It's for other folks. Because what you conquer today might very well be what I need on tomorrow. Because your testimony can encourage me and help me understand that it is no secret. What God can do, what he's done for others. He'll do. He'll do for you. So you have to understand that those moments where life feels heavy, don't you try to bottle up your testimony. Don't you try to be secret with your testimony. Don't try to keep your testimony in the closet. But tell it. Because your journey can guide me to my breakthrough. I might be on the verge of giving up. But when I hear how you made it, that gives me the courage to know that I can make it too. Let me say one more thing before I move on. You may not need the testimony right now. But let me tell you what to do. Pack it up, put it in the freezer. One day you'll have to thaw it out. And you'll need it to keep going. But after we've seen all that this woman has gone through, we must know that there's something deeper at play that we sometimes fail to recognize. Because when you look at it, the bleeding wasn't her real issue. And there are times what seems like a problem might actually be God's way of pointing you toward the real issue you need to confront. Because this woman needed spiritual healing as much as she needed physical healing. And after confessing it all, she was no longer a nameless woman marked by her affliction. But now she was a beloved daughter of Jesus Christ. Her suffering lost its hold on her. And her relationship with him became her identity, allowing her to walk in peace. She could walk in peace with God. She could walk in peace from God. And she can walk in the peace of God. And Shiloh, I want you to understand that when God works things out for you, you gain peace to move forward. Free from the weight of your struggles, your past, and your problems. Because God has already taken care of what you couldn't. And we have to understand that our sermon series is all about looking for a miracle.
Yeah.
But I want you to understand that there are some people who receive peace. And now you're able to look at a miracle.
Yeah.
Have I got a witness?
Yeah.
So just look at the person beside you
Yeah.
and tell them that I've gone through too much.
Yeah.
I've gone through so much where it seemed like life was too much. I've gone through too much pain. I've gone through too much heartache. I've gone through too much suffering. I've gone through too much sickness. But out of all that I went through, I'm still here. And you don't have to look for a miracle, but you are looking at a miracle. Have I got a witness? Because just like this woman, we all gone through some things, and we didn't know how we were going to make it. We had COVID-19, others died from it, but yet you are still here because God gave you His peace. Have I got a witness? And is there anybody here that can pat yourself and say, I am a miracle? Have I got a witness? Out of all of the hell that I've been through, I am a miracle. Out of the odds that were stacked up against me, I am a miracle. Out of all of the obstacles that stood in my way, I am a miracle. So grab somebody and tell him you are a miracle. 'Cause through it all, God kept you. Through it all, God spared you. Through it all, He worked it out. And you are still standing. And look at somebody and tell him that I am still standing. I am still moving.